everyone, welcome back. You know how we all struggle with like breaking bad habits and like trying to build good ones?
Oh, yeah.
Today, we're diving into that book Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Right?
We're looking at part 4, which is all about self-control.
Yeah, and it's kind of got this surprising approach that might, change the way we think about habits forever.
Okay, now I'm interested. I'm always looking for, better ways to approach this whole habit thing.
Well, it's not really about, like, having iron willpower or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
It's more about working with your brain, not against it.
Okay, I like that. Work smarter, not harder.
Right. Exactly.
So where do we even start with this?
Well, James Clear, he kicks things off with a really interesting story. It kind of flips everything we think we know about habits on its head.
Okay, lay it on me. What's this crazy story?
It's about the Vietnam War and heroin addiction.
Wait, what? The Vietnam War? What does that have to do with, like, my bad habit of hitting snooze 3 times every morning?
Trust me, this is where it gets super interesting. Okay, so back in the 1970s, there was this study, and it found something really shocking. It turned out that 90% of U.S. soldiers who were, addicted to heroin over in Vietnam, they completely overcame their addiction when they came back home.
90%? That's insane. But, like, isn't addiction supposed to be, like, this super hard thing to break?
Exactly. That's why this study was such a big deal. It basically changed the way we think about addiction. It suggested that, maybe it's not all about willpower or being a good person or whatever. Maybe the biggest factor is, get this, the environment.
So you're saying just by, like, changing their surroundings, these soldiers were able to just, like, drop heroin?
Pretty much, yeah.
So what does that mean for us regular folks who, aren't battling heroin addiction but still struggle with our everyday habits?
It means our environment is a huge deal when it comes to our habits, like way more than we probably realize. And this isn't just about addiction like drugs or whatever. This applies to all sorts of habits. Think about it. When you walk into your kitchen, are you more likely to grab a handful of candy if it's sitting right there on the counter?
Probably. Yeah.
Way more than if, say, there's a bowl of fruit, right?
Yeah, that's true. So how do we actually use this to, change our habits? Do we all have to, like, move to a desert island or something to get away from all those temptations?
Well, it doesn't have to be that drastic.
Phew.
This is where James Clear introduces this idea of make it invisible.
Make it invisible.
People who seem to have, like, amazing self-control, it's not that they're superhuman or anything. It's that they figured out how to set up their lives so that they're not constantly bombarded with temptations.
Ah, okay. So instead of, like, white-knuckling it and trying to resist that bowl of candy,
Right.
we just get rid of it completely. Out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Trying to resist a plate of warm cookies when they're right there in front of you, it's like swimming upstream.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I'd much rather just not have the cookies around in the first place.
It's way easier to just remove the temptation completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can get behind that. So this make it invisible thing, it's all about, like, getting rid of those triggers, the things that make us want to do those bad habits in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give us some real world examples of how this works?
Sure. Let's say you're trying to, focus on work, but you're constantly getting distracted by your phone.
Oh, yeah.
What could you do? Well, maybe try putting your phone in another room or, like, turning off all those notifications.
Oh, yeah. I've done that before. It actually kind of helps.
Or how about this? Let's say social media is making you feel, kind of bad about yourself.
Ugh. Yeah. Been there.
Well, maybe you could unfollow some accounts that trigger those negative feelings or set some limits on how much time you spend scrolling.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's all about being smart and aware of what in your environment is, like, setting you off.
I like it. It's like we're becoming habit detectives, figuring out what our triggers are, and then, like, neutralizing them before they can even get us.
Exactly.
So instead of, like, exhausting ourselves with all this willpower, we can outsmart those cravings by making them invisible. I dig it. But what about those temptations we can't just, make disappear? Like, I can't exactly make all the junk food at the grocery store invisible, right?
Right. And that's where understanding this idea of supernormal stimuli could be really helpful.
Super normal stimuli. Okay, you've got my attention. What in the world are those, and what do they have to do with habits?
To explain that, we need to take a little side trip into the world of animal behavior.
Animal behavior. All right, lead the way. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so back in the 1940s, this Dutch scientist named Nico Tinbergen, He was studying herring gulls, those birds.
Uh-huh.
He noticed that baby herring gulls, they instinctively peck at a red dot on their parent's beak to get food.
Okay.
So what he did was he made these fake beaks just out of cardboard.
Fake beaks. Okay.
And you know what happened? The baby birds went absolutely nuts for these fake beaks. They were pecking at them like crazy, especially the ones that had like really big, bright red dots.
So even though it wasn't a real beak, they were like super attracted to that fake red dot.
Exactly. And that, my friend, is a supernormal stimulus.
Interesting. But how does that relate to, us and our habits?
Well, that exaggerated red dot, it was like a supercharged version of something they naturally found appealing.
Ah, I see.
And guess what? Humans, we're susceptible to these supernormal stimuli too.
Oh, I have a feeling I'm not going to like where this is going.
Think about junk food.
Oh, no.
It's basically engineered to hit all our pleasure buttons at once, with tons of salt, sugar, fat. It's like a supernormal stimulus for our taste buds.
So no wonder it's so hard to resist. It's like we're those baby birds pecking away at that giant red dot, only it's our brains that are getting tricked.
Right. It highlights how our brains are wired to respond to these exaggerated things.
But it's not just junk food, right?
Right. Think about social media. We're constantly seeing like these perfect pictures, perfect lives. That can trigger, feelings of jealousy, feeling like we're not good enough. And it keeps us coming back for more.
It's all designed to keep us hooked, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Our brains are still running on this ancient reward system that's easily hijacked by all this modern stuff. No wonder it's such a struggle.
Okay, this is starting to make a lot of sense. So how do we break free from this? How do we start craving the good stuff instead?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. Is there even hope for us?
There is. But to understand that, we got to dig a little deeper into how our brains work. Specifically, this thing called dopamine. And it's not just about feeling good. It's about anticipating feeling good. That's what really drives us.
Dopamine, okay. I know it's like this brain chemical that makes us feel good, but how does it actually work with all this habit stuff?
Well, think about it this way. You know when you see your phone buzz with a notification?
Yeah, who doesn't?
If you've, learned to associate that with something good, like checking social media, your brain releases this little hit of dopamine. And this is before you even check it.
Really?
Yeah, it's like your brain getting excited about the possibility of something pleasurable.
So before I even unlock my phone, my brain is already like, ooh, maybe there's something fun waiting for me.
Exactly. That dopamine rush is what makes you actually want to check your phone.
Even if, like, deep down, I know I should be working on that presentation or something.
Yep, it's the anticipation that's driving the desire.
Oh, man, our brains are sneaky. So if dopamine is what pushes us towards, all those not so great habits, how do we make it work for us instead?
That's the key, right?
It is. Like, how do I get my brain to crave a salad instead of, I don't know, a bag of chips?
Well, one thing James Clear talks about is this idea called temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. Okay, that sounds kind of interesting.
It's pretty simple, really. It's all about pairing something you need to do with something you want to do, like a way to reward yourself for doing those things that are good for you, but maybe not always the most fun.
Oh, okay. So instead of forcing myself to go for a run, which I kind of dread sometimes, I could, like, bundle it with something I actually enjoy.
Exactly. What do you enjoy?
I love listening to podcasts, so I could, like, only let myself listen to my favorite podcast while I'm running.
That's a great example. You're giving yourself that little dopamine hit from the podcast,
Uh-huh.
and your brain starts to connect that good feeling with running, too.
So I'm basically tricking my brain into, like, actually wanting to run.
Pretty much.
I like it. It's like hacking my own brain.
That's a good way to put it.
So what are some other ways we can use this temptation bundling thing?
Oh, tons of ways. Okay, how about this? You hate cleaning the bathroom, right?
Ugh, yeah. The worst.
But you love taking a long, relaxing bath.
Okay. Yeah, I do love a good bath.
All right, so here's the rule. You only get to take that awesome bath after you've cleaned the bathroom.
Oh, I see what you're doing there.
Now, cleaning doesn't seem quite so bad, does it?
I actually might start looking forward to cleaning the bathroom if it means I get to relax in a nice hot bath afterward.
Right. And you can apply this to all sorts of stuff. Only watch your favorite show while you fold laundry. Or maybe you have a special treat you only eat after you finish a tough work project.
This is amazing. It's like instead of dreading those boring tasks, I can reframe them as a way to get to the stuff I actually enjoy.
That's all about changing your perspective, right?
Exactly. So Wait, didn't we talk about something called habit stacking before? How does that fit in with all of this?
Good memory. You're right, we did.
I was paying attention.
Habit stacking is all about, anchoring a new habit to one you already do without even thinking. Instead of starting from scratch, you just, like, attach it to something you're already doing, like brushing your teeth or making coffee in the morning.
Right, right. Like piggybacking on an already established routine.
Yep.
So does habit stacking like work with temptation bundling, or are they totally separate things?
They actually work great together. Like, it's a super combo for building good habits.
Mhm.
You basically set up this, like, chain reaction of positive stuff.
Okay, I'm listening. How do we make this super combo work? I'm ready to level up my habit game.
Let's say you want to keep up with the news every morning, but you need to, I don't know, work on being more grateful.
Okay.
Try this. After I make my coffee, I'll write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and then I can read the news.
Ah, okay. So I'm stacking the gratitude habit onto my coffee habit, and then the news is my reward.
You got it.
This is blowing my mind. So wait, all this stuff, why is it so important anyway? Like, why should we even care about all this habit stuff?
It's a good question. I mean, think about it. Our habits, they basically make up our lives. They control our actions, thoughts, even how we feel about ourselves.
So if I want to change my life, I got to change my habits.
Exactly. And the more we understand about how they work, the more control we have over, our own destinies.
Mhm.
It's about making choices that line up with what we really value.
It's powerful, isn't it? Like, we're not just stuck with whatever habits we've picked up along the way.
Right. We have the power to change.
Man, this whole deep dive into habits has been so eye-opening.
It really is fascinating stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Like we talked about, our environment, it plays like a huge E-role.
Oh, yeah.
And then all that stuff about those supernormal stimuli.
Right. Those are sneaky little things.
And then like all those cool techniques like temptation bundling to like make those good habits more appealing.
And don't forget about habit stacking.
Oh yeah, habit stacking. I love that one.
Yeah.
It's so cool to realize that we can like actually design our lives to make it easier to be better.
We're not just, stuck with whatever habits we've accidentally picked up along the way.
Right. Just like those soldiers coming back from Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly.
They were able to make huge changes just by, changing their surroundings.
And using those strategies.
It's like that saying, what is it? You can't change the wind, but you can adjust your sails.
Oh, I like that.
We have more control than we think, you know?
We do, we do. So, with all this knowledge about habits, what's one little change you could make, like today, to make a good habit more appealing or a bad one less tempting?
Ooh, that's a good one. What about you guys listening? What are you thinking? I'm already brainstorming some ideas over here.
I bet you are.
I think for me, I might try like putting my phone in a drawer while I'm working.
Wow, that's a good one.
So I'm not like constantly tempted to check it.
Even small things like that can make a difference.
They can.
Like maybe instead of chips, have a bowl of fruit.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Or take the stairs instead of the
Oh,
elevator.
all about those little steps, right?
Exactly. One step at a time.
And remember, like, we just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, this is just the beginning.
There's a whole world of habit stuff out there.
Keep exploring.
I know I'm going to keep digging into Atomic Habits.
It's a great book.
It is. It's like, I don't know, it's like a secret weapon for self-improvement or something.
And don't forget, this whole habit thing, it's a journey, not a destination.
So true.
It's about experimenting and figuring out what works for you.
Finding what sticks.
It's not about being perfect. It's about finding what helps you live a better life.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of self-control.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And that we gave you some stuff to think about.
Yeah.
Keep experimenting, keep learning, and keep deep diving. We'll see you next time.
See ya.